So what does a vote for Peter Welch represent? What do you stand for, Peter?
A big change locally. I think someone really who's in touch with people, with ordinary people. You know, I come from an ordinary background. I think people have got very, very disillusioned and feel very, very cut off from politics these days. And I was thinking about this. There are two things leading up to it, aren't there? One is that we've got a Prime Minister who hasn't been elected. You know, no one at all voted for him. So that cuts people off. That makes people feel a bit outside of the whole process. And then secondly, we've got this unusual situation where the Conservative Party is absolutely dominated by people with the most privileged background that one can imagine. I mean, you know, I've got no problem with people going to public school, but the idea that almost all the shadow cabinet are old Etonians or old Harrovians or something, I think, doesn't work here in Southend West, where old Etonians are pretty thin on the ground. So I think those things are cutting people off, and people would appreciate an MP who's down to earth, in touch with ordinary people. I think people are looking for common sense in government. I think people are fed up with spin. We've had 13 years where Blair and Brown have basically thought they had to announce a policy every single day to get a good headline the next day, usually in the Daily Mail. And I think people have seen through that. I think people wouldn't mind if the government put its head down and got on with the job without feeling it had to hold a press conference every moment. So I think we need big changes. I think trust is very important. I think people want politicians who are prepared to say what they think, even if it's unpopular. And I think the great example of that is Vince Cable, who's spoken about the need to make savings in public expenditure, and hasn't dressed it up as efficiency savings that we know don't get achieved. He's looked at the problem, he's said what the problem is, he said what he'd do about it, and that's what we want.